Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
Hey there, welcome into Golf Central. What a day of golf we have had around the world. Ryan Burr with a pair of PGA Tour winners, Billy Kratzer and Brian Bateman. And guys, the game within the game on the PGA Tour champions, it has arrived. A major reset in points. And boy, it did not disappoint. This thing is wide open. Of course, Bernhard Langer, a giant lead coming in. That lead has been slashed to 200, and just like that, Colin Montgomery now in the lead for the race to the Cup. Should point out, guys, obviously two things this week. The Charles Schwab Cup Championship is the golf tournament. Everyone, all competitors trying to win the Cup.
Yeah, and when you put that excitement in it, and you think that Bernhard Langer got out there today, Ryan, and struggled right at the beginning. He was 2 over. At one point, he was tied for 23rd in the tournament. So that let a whole group of players in. Pernice got off to a good start. Colin Montgomery, he was steady. So you had a lot of different scenarios out there earlier, and so it's fun.
And it's funny you say that because yesterday, Trip Eisenhower kind of told us how every player in the field, Brian, could actually win the Charles Schwab Cup, the actual Cup. It's possible that they all. Now, it's some crazy scenarios, but nonetheless, everyone has to be in there, and it starts with Bernhard Langer not playing well. That happened early, but we saw the champion bounce back at the end.
He did. He bounced back at the end, but that's the great thing about this format with everybody having a shot, and Paul Goydo's made the most of that today. A player that's not afraid to go low. He shot 59 on the PGA Tour a few years ago and got off to a great start, and it just adds to the drama. That's the reason they made the changes for this the point race, just to give everybody a shot.
And you speak of those changes. Let's take a look at those changes and exactly what we are looking at as coming in. The points were reset here as Bernhard Langer's million-point lead was reduced to just 200 over Scott McCarron, 400 over Colin Montgomery, and on down the line. This was coming into today's first round. So we take a look at the action here as Bernhard Langer, back from that knee injury, appears to be close to 100%. His lead 200 coming in after a bogey at 4. This putt for par at 4.
And you really don't see Bernhard struggle as much as he did at the beginning of the round. The pace of the putts was way off today for Bernhard.
No doubt. So with him 2 over par, things are wide open for the rest of the field, including Paul Goydos, who was 24th on the Cup list coming in, and he holes out for eagle. Hello.
Hitting laser iron shots all day long. That's a pretty good laser.
Goydos with a 3-shot lead. Here he is at 17.
With the hybrid, and this may have been one of the best shots I saw today because you had to land it in the perfect spot, let it release up, just a little twist at the end, but to have that distance control with that club, exceptional.
And for Goydos, how about the lowest round of his career on the PGA Tour champions, 8 under 62. Meanwhile, back to Langer.
Beautiful putt there. He'd been struggling to that point, Ron, and you can see how excited he was just to finally see a putt fall. That's a birdie at the 9th. And
give you an idea, he goes to even, and just like that, he's back in the lead for the Cup, even though he's way behind Goydos for the championship. Langer now at 10.
And it's amazing when a player finds their rhythm, what happens. And Langer with a 7-iron almost jars it.
Nonetheless, he's 1 under 7 back of Goydos. Playing alongside in that final group, Scott McCarron, second on the points list.
Yeah, he had a poor drive off the tee on the right rope, was forced to lay up, but he made the most of it situation by cashing out for eagle.
Ridiculous. That moves him to 1 under after the hole-out eagle. So now Langer, as you can see there, now second in the Cup standings. After missing the green, he successfully gets it to the middle of the green. He would save par and remain at 2 under. Meanwhile, Colin Montgomery, remember, 3rd on the points list coming in. Monty having a big day.
Yeah, and on this par 3, 220 yards. We just saw Goydos hit it close, but this is a hole location that fits Monty perfectly. You can let it work with the contour of the green. And once again, just a beautiful shot, beautiful iron shot by Montgomery.
That leads to a birdie, so Monty 4 under, and just like that, he's now projected #1 in the Schwab Cup standings. Monty at 18.
After a huge drive just up the left first cut, 187-yard second shot, and another beautiful iron shot from Colin Montgomery, something he was doing on it after every shot on the back 9.
Throws it in high, lands it softly with 2 putt for birdie, moves to 5 under. Meanwhile at 18, this is Langer.
Very good touch there, Ryan, and closes with a birdie and ends the day with 5 birdies and ends up shooting 67. Good comeback by Langer.
So the game within the game, let's start with game number 1, which is the Charles Schwab Cup Championship. Paul Goydos going wild with the 62. Then the game within the game, the Charles Schwab Cup standings. Colin Montgomery is the new number 1, followed by Bernhard Langer, who was the points leader coming in. So a wild day out in Arizona. The new format obviously creates a lot of drama. We hope we gave you an idea just how dramatic this is going to be heading into the weekend. Let's head back out live to Arizona, bring in the guys that called today's action, Whit and Lanny Watkins. Hey, guys, this thing, it just going back and forth all day was a lot of fun. How was it from your perspective?
From our perspective, with no pressure on us, it's great fun to watch these standings change shot to shot. For the players, Lanny, I'm not sure it's quite as much fun. One guy we know enjoyed his day, Paul Goydos. You mentioned Ryan, best ever round for him on the PGA Tour Champions. I didn't know that a 62 was out there. Did you think one was out there, Lanny?
No, not with the amount of rough we've got this week, and the golf course is playing awfully tough. Green speeds are up to 13, so with the slopes and everything here, it's a very difficult golf course. Goydos had a fine round finishing last week in Richmond. I think that carried him over. Goes out in 30 and then comes back in 32 with a bogey. So just a great round of golf for him. He did fly one in the hole, so that doesn't happen very often. But great round of golf by Paul Goydos. Putter was really, really working for him today.
Those top 5 players who can control the outcome. If they win the tournament, they win the cup. Montgomery, McCarron, and Langer all pretty bunched up. Montgomery in particular looked very good, had a birdie at 18 to finish at 5 under.
I like what I saw from Colin Montgomery today. He played well. Colin can sometimes get in his own way. He hit a couple loose shots today, particularly at the 14th. Let a long iron, went over the green, back down, made bogey. Never looked flustered, just stayed in control, comes back and made some birdies coming in. So I like what he was doing in his swing. I like the demeanor he was playing. So if that carries forward to the weekend, Colin Montgomery may be giving Bernhard Langer all he wants.
And it's hard to catch up to a 62, but Monty was awfully close with a 65. He spoke with our David Marr.
Whit, thanks, here with Colin Montgomery. And Monty, runner-up in the last 2 year-long points races, right now projected to take the top spot. Are you aware of all the permutations that need to happen for you to be there? There are not many.
There's that many. I'm a scoreboard watcher, and I know exactly what's going on, especially with my German friend behind, and Scott McCarron and Joe and also Miguel, and it's just great to get in after just one round ahead of these guys, at least, you know, to give myself a chance. I must admit, I must say, Paul Goydos' score this morning, because it was windy this morning. I think that 8 under this morning was one of the best scores we've seen all year. Tremendous score. And even to get within 3 for me was a delight. So it's important that I keep going. I'm not making many mistakes. I'm hitting the ball fairly straight, and the odd putt's going in. So you never know, you know. But it's a good position, but it's only one out of 3.
Well, you won all those money titles, orders of merit, over on the European Tour. What would it mean to you to win a year-long points race here?
It's very similar, really, David. It's very similar in many ways. You know, you're always watching other people. I was either watching Woozy or Faldo or Langer or Sam Torrance sometimes, or whatever the case may be, trying to stay ahead. In the end, it was Clark and Westwood and all that sort of stuff. And this is very similar, just the guys that I used to play alongside. And it's a very similar feeling, and it's great that it is. I anticipated when I joined the Champions Tour that it might not be, but I'm so glad that it isn't. You know, it's as good as it was, if not better, because we're over 50 now, and it's a superb tour, this, and I'm loving it and enjoying it, and therefore playing quite good golf.
Well, when you're watching those guys in the order of merit, you're usually looking over your shoulder like you're doing now for everybody else on this tour in the Schwab Cup race. Nice playing so far. We're going to go on back to you, Whit.
Thank you.
All right, David, thank you very much. Lanny, some final thoughts here on Monty?
Well, Monty's playing great. If I had my wish coming into the weekend, I'd like to see Goydos go ahead and win, and then have all the other things that come in play to see who wins the Schwab Cup. Then we're looking at some really fun stuff.
It's a long list of,
yes, it is.
of conditions.
Yeah.
Fun to watch here this weekend, Ryan, as we send it back to you.
Appreciate that, gentlemen, and I find it fascinating to listen to Monty talk about how re-energized he is by the whole points race and the fact that as he's out there playing, he's watching on the leaderboard how the cup standings are changing and where Langer is and where McCarron is. So you could see just how much the points race and the cup standings mean to Colin Montgomery. Good stuff for sure. As we heard, the last thing Lanny said is he's rooting for Goidos to win, so everything goes into mayhem. So let's just, for a second, say something like Paul Goidos does win and throws this whole thing out of whack. Give me someone outside the top 5, Billy, that you could see working their way in here and putting their hand in the cookie jar and stealing the Charles Schwab Cup.
Well, I'm going to look at a player like Tom Pernice. Right now, he's 8th on the list going into the tournament. It's a tournament that he's won on this golf course. He won in 2014. He's playing some of the best golf that he's played this year towards the end of the season. This is a scenario that has to happen. Langer has to finish 3rd or worse, McCarron 2nd or worse, and then Montgomery 2nd or worse. So he does need some help, but he needs to get out there, needs to play another good round. He shot 67, had it to 3 under, lost a couple, but then came back. But he's a player that's had 5 wins on the PGA or on the PGA Tour Seniors or Champions, and this was his last win. This
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, he wins. He wins the first leg of the playoffs, and like I said, he's had 4 top 10s this year, but 3 have come since September, Ryan, and he has really played well, so he's coming in here with a lot of momentum.
He does. Now, the scenarios you showed at the very top is he has to win.
Right, so, yeah, he has to win.
He needs to take care of business and win, and then hope that Langer's out past 3 and Monty, but he's got to win first. How about you, Brian? Who are you watching for?
I'm watching Duffy Waldorf, and he's coming in at 10th on the list, and he needs a lot of help from a lot of players being so far back. But he's been playing some great golf as well. He shot 3 under par 67 today, and he's a tremendous putter, and he's played this golf course well before. And as you can see, coming in 10th, he's got to win the Schwab Cup Championship, and he's going to need some help from Langer and McCarron and Colin and Joe Durant. But I just like his golf game. I like how he controls the ball off the tee, and you'll see, I mentioned earlier how he's an outstanding putter. He's ranked 10th on the tour in putting, and you'll see this is on the 15th hole today. This is from 45 or 50 feet on the 15th for eagle to get to 3 under, which is where he ended up finishing his round. He won earlier this year, the first event of the year on the schedule in Hawaii. So I just like what Duffy's doing right now. I think he's got a shot, but he's got to take care of business. And by shooting 67 today, he's given him a chance if Paul Goidos happens to back up.
It's interesting for sure. When we spent so much time talking about Arnold Palmer after his passing, there was so much talk in Arnold's heyday how the Champions Tour was, it was as popular as the PGA Tour at times. And an event like this, bringing the excitement and the drama back, going to be a fun weekend for sure as the Charles Schwab Cup is up for grabs. Still to come here on Golf Central, we'll continue to update you from around the world, and including on that would be the PGA Tour. They're in Mexico, and Webb Simpson playing good golf and using a new kind of putting stroke. You'll see that and much more as we continue.